And Sheriff's Office, the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, excuse me, has a long-standing immigration policy developed under the consent decree which prohibits deputies from directly investigating immigration violations or honoring most detention requests for ICE within the jail. However, this policy conflicts with state law banning so-called sanctuary cities in Louisiana. Do you stand with the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office's current policy or with state law that seeks to dissolve it, beginning with Constable Shorty?
Obviously, when we've got a conflict in the law, we have to do what's paramount to protecting our citizens. And if we're talking about individuals who have got serious crimes, then look, we've got to work with our federal partners to make sure that those individuals are not released on our streets. There's a conflict, and we've got to work with our state legislators and council to deal with the consent decree so that everyone has a clear understanding of what the sheriff's office role and responsibility is. Do I want to be able to work with our federal partners? Yes. I'm going to follow the law to the law to the T. But as you pointed out, with a conflict, we've got to have either the federal court or our state legislators or our city council rework what they've got and realize that they've got a conflict, and you're putting law enforcement in a bind by not clearly stating what we can and can't do. But the answer is yes, I'm going to work with our federal partners.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff Hudson.
Yeah, we will work with the law. So the first thing is we're going to do is follow the law. As a lawyer, I know that federal law and constitutional law trump state law. This consent judgment is in place, and it was put in place because the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, under a prior sheriff, were holding people too long, and the people of this parish had to pay out hundreds of thousands of dollars because of that. The judgment requires us to hold people for rape, robbery, kidnapping, murder, and treason. And that's a good middle ground, because you're getting people who are wanted for the most serious crimes. The people of Orleans Parish should not be paying over $50,000 a year to house people for traffic tickets or low-level misdemeanors and immigration violations. So I think that's too much. I think where it is at right now is where we need to stay. If that consent judgment goes away, we will follow state law. But until then, the Constitution trumps.
Thank you. Ms. Whitford.
As a law enforcement professional, I know that if you take an oath, you have to follow the law, whether that be local, state, or federal law. Of course, federal law trumps state and local laws, right? In this consent decree that the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office is under, in there, it was implemented in 2013. So, of course, the current laws are in conflict with the provision inside of there. And so that is not the main job of the sheriff. The sheriff's job is the care, custody, and control of the jail. But am I going to partner with my federal partners? Absolutely. Am I going to follow the law? That's exactly what I'm going to do, because I am a law enforcement officer. I'm going to leave it to the legal experts and the courts to figure out what exactly the law is. And it does put us in a bind. It puts law enforcement in a bind when you have something like this. So again, leaving it to the legal experts and the courts to figure out so we can follow the law that is going to come out of the litigation going on with it.
Thank you, Ms.